Friends, if you look at the topic that has been given, this topic is very close to, I think, everybody's hearts. Of course, it's a very close topic to my heart, that is Chanakya. But I think we are trying to make the Chanakya's wisdom very relevant. That's why the topic that we have chose today is going to be not just about Chanakya, but how to deal with tough times. And of course, solutions from Chanakya Neeti. I'm glad to know that we have a lot of people from different parts of the country and different parts of the world who are attending this particular live webinar. So, given the time, I don't want to speak about my books, but definitely, as Vedahimam rightly pointed out, so there are 15 books that I have written, and in the lockdown, of course, I completed writing 2 more books. But the first book is always very special, and this is like Corporate Chanakya. Many of you must have seen this particular book. It is quite popular. And interestingly, this year we are celebrating the 10th year anniversary of Corporate Chanakya. So, for a father who is almost like a mother to the book, I've given birth to a book. It's like, bachcha bada ho gaya hai, double digits pe aa gaya hai. So 10th year anniversary, all the both books put together, we have sold around 1 million copies. And, thanks to these books, I have traveled to almost 22 countries, not only as a tourist, but actually giving lectures in some of the finest universities across the globe, right from Oxford and Cambridge to many universities in US and Singapore. So the whole idea was that when my journey started in Chanakya around 20 years ago, and when this book came out 10 years ago, I was not even sure whether this will be about solutions to modern day problems. Yeah, so of course we all Indians are very proud of its glorious past, but the challenge that was in my hand is how do you use the wisdom of the past to apply and get solutions to the present. Yes, I think somewhere I have worked in this, and I would say that the success that I have got is because of two reasons. Number one is that all of you, the kind of a Chanakya fan following, I would say, are the responsible for making the Indian wisdom relevant today. And the second reason, of course, is friends like Aruna ma'am who have been organizing such programs. And with that, I would say I'm on a mission mode to say that Indian wisdom is not just ancient. Indian wisdom is not ancient, it is also eternal. Yes, my dear friends, sometimes we have to go to the past and understand what is relevant in the present. Of course, a lot of things may have got upgraded, or it had got evolved from the past. So we should leave it there. But I think the principles of many things are still relevant today. Look at how yoga has become very popular globally. Look at how Ayurveda could be an alternative medical treatment. What we generally used to call as Nani Ma ka Nuska or Dadi Ma ka Nuska has actually solving many, many modern day problems also. So my attempt has been in the field of management and leadership to bring back one of the greatest strategists that India has produced, that is Chanakya. So friends, can we look at Chanakya and look at some solutions to these current challenges and the tough times that we are going to go through, or rather are going through? I will not complicate it too much because the time is limited and Chanakya's knowledge is eternal. A speaker should never be eternal. The knowledge should be eternal. So the first thing I always ask my organizers is, kabhi band karna hai. You should know before you enter when to exit. So I'm sure all of you have logged in at the same time at 11 o'clock India time. I'm sure you also want to exit at 12 o'clock time. So the time limitation is around half an hour to 35 minutes. And of course, Vaidehi ma'am would also be, coordinating the Q&A. So with that, I want to just keep the Chanakya's principles for this particular topic, how to deal with tough times, in very simple format. I'm going to give you 3 takeaways. So, as always said, do you have a PowerPoint presentation? I said, no, I don't have a PPT, but I have some powerful points. So I'll just say something which will be easy for all of you to remember, recollect, and keep it with you for life. And I would also like to tell you, this 3 points that I'll be giving you is very practical in nature. So it's not very, very theoretical. You can apply it even if you're not studied Chanakya. And what is very interesting is that this can be used in tough times, and actually it can be used in good times also, in peaceful times and in war times. So what are these principles? I'll just talk about it. But before that, a quick recollection of Chanakya's life itself. Please do read about Chanakya. It's all there in my books, on all the videos. And of course, there are so many other books and television serials on Chanakya. He is a person who was known as a practical philosopher. Very, very important. When I say practical philosopher, many times there is a misunderstanding that philosophy is very abstract. It is something about connecting to the other world, and it's something people say, "Jada lecture mat do." So don't be so goody goody. So we were just discussing before we got into this particular program with Vedehi ma'am, Rajesh sir, and Aruna ma'am, saying that if you are not worldly successful, you'll not understand what is spirituality. Yes, my dear friends. So even to reach spirituality, you should be successful in this world. Swami Vivekananda said it so profound and so nicely. He said that before reading the Bhagavad Gita, you better play the football. So think about it. That's the kind of philosophers that we had in our country, who not only believed in the other world of nirvana and moksha, but they believed that this world is also a real world, and your real practice of spirituality happens here and now. So, my dear friends, when Chanakya is giving you practical solutions, it is also spiritual solutions. But let me now look at it practically. 3 points. Now, this all 3 points has been applied by Chanakya himself in his lifetime. So his life was full of tough times. It's not easy life. We only look at the glorious part of Chanakya, but if you look at right from childhood, he faced a lot of tough times. His father, that was Acharya Chanakya, another teacher of political science, was actually killed by Dhananand, and then he had to flee the Magad kingdom. He was in Patliputra. He had to flee, go to Takshashila University, complete his education, and come back. So don't think that all the things that I'm going to tell you is only theory. It is actually something Chanakya went through. So he had tough times, but he knew how to deal with tough times. And let me also tell you, my dear friends, that I have tried to apply Chanakya principles in my life also. So I'm sure every one of us sitting over here know this, that life is not going to be that easy. So life will have its ups and downs, but the good part is that there is a solution for every tough time. So in the army, it is said very nicely, in the armed forces, that if you sweat more during peace times, the less you bleed during war times. The more you sweat during peace times, the less you bleed during war times. So the preparation is not when the tough time comes. The preparation is before the tough time comes. ऐसा कहते हैं कि जो पहले से ही तैयारी करते हैं उनको कोई भी परिस्थिति मुश्किल नहीं लगती, और अगर परिस्थिति मुश्किल लगती है तो उसका मतलब है कि आपने तैयारी नहीं की. You are not prepared. And Chanakya is all about preparation, planning before the war comes. Yes, my dear friends. Today we are talking about the paristhiti outside. It's all about lockdowns. People are getting frustrated inside. The economic activities are reduced. There is a lot of depression happening. All this is part of the game. But in the same situation, some people look at as a opportunity, while some look at it as a tough time and a challenge. If you really look at it, it is not the paristhiti that matters. It is the manasthiti that matters. ये मत सोचिए कि बाहर क्या है, ये सोचिए कि आपके अंदर क्या है. So it's all in your mind. How do you tackle the situation? Situation can be the same for everyone, same. But how you manage it at the internal level is what Chanakya is all about. So friends, think about this. Any tough times can be handled with these 3 steps. The first step is, whenever there is tough times, think through it. Think alone, think strategically, think through logic. It is very, very important that whenever a situation comes, don't react, respond. Reaction is very impulsive. I always tell this to my students and my family members also. सुबह सुबह उठ के न्यूज़पेपर मत पढ़ना. Newspaper पढ़ना जरूर. It is very, very important to read newspapers, or maybe the information that comes through the internet or the WhatsApp. Very, very important to be well informed. But when I say don't read newspaper, I'm saying don't read newspaper the first thing in the morning, because there are people, they don't start the day without the newspaper. The problem is that somewhere the whole negative news that comes into you, especially the front page news, it's so negative that the whole day, it's as if, everything is going to be over. The world has come to the doomsday. Yes, there are challenges, but how you prepare your mind. So I always say that the first thing you have to do when you get up in the morning, okay, is to have an attitude of gratitude. Yes. So get up in the morning, pray to God, sit there calmly for 2-3 minutes. Thank God that you're alive, because not everybody who sleeps gets up. So you are at least got up and you say, okay, whatever be the situation, thank you, God, you're giving me this wonderful life, this body, mind, and intellect is still functioning. I'm alive. So we always say that, don't tell the problem. Don't tell God how big the problem is, because generally we are cribbers, we cry. So don't tell God how big the problem is. Tell the problem how big God is. So tell the problem how big God is. So when you get up in the morning, you said, okay, another day, I'm ready to fight like a warrior, because warriors never give up. So first thing at the mental level, you have to understand that you have to think with a positive mindset, with a practical mindset, and of course a spiritual mindset. PPS. So what should be your mindset? The first thing is to be positive, practical, and spiritual. So when you get up in the morning with that kind of a freshness, you have already developed something called as Atma Bala. Yes, Atma Bala is very important. If you have the courage to face any problem, then the world cannot stop you. Our problem is even before the battle starts, we already given up in our minds. As somebody said it so nicely, battles are not fought in the battlefields, but in the minds of the generals. Battles are not fought in the battlefields, but in the minds of the general. And Chanakya wanted everybody to actually think like a winner in his mind itself. And the concept of a leader that is given in the Arthashastra is of two types. The first one is called Raj Rishi. Raj Rishi means he's a leader, but he's also a Rishi. He's a thinker. He's a spiritual person. He's not just a leader for the sake of position. No, he's not a positional leader or somebody who sits on a chair, but he's got that Atma Bala with him. So he's a Raj Rishi. The second word that comes in the Arthashastra to define a leader is Vijigishu. Become a world conqueror. Okay, that's the kind of an attitude. So when you say world conqueror, especially when we look at from the Western standpoint, it is about killing and conquering. No, 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 no. It's not about killing and conquering. Becoming a world conqueror can be in a strategic way also. It's like when you're playing Olympics, you better actually win the gold medal. If you're thinking anything below a gold medal, then unfortunately you're not worth playing Olympics. So if you want to play Olympics, aim for gold, not even silver. And somebody said it very nicely. You never win a silver medal. You actually lose a gold medal. Yes, my dear friends. It's very important to start the first step by thinking correctly. So what is the process of thinking? How do you think when you are having tough times? As I told you, tough times or good times, you have to apply something which Chanakya said in the Arthashastra. It's called Anvikshiki. Anvikshiki is also called as the Prathama Vidya for a leader. What is the meaning of Prathama Vidya? When we go to join any educational institutions, generally it is said that there are 3 R's that are being taught as the foundation course or the foundation subjects. They are reading, writing, and arithmetic. I know arithmetic starts with A, but generally it's pronounced as R. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. But Chanakya would say first thing you have to learn is Anvikshiki. Anvikshiki means the right process of thinking. Anvekshan, inquiry, logic, investigation. So Anvikshiki is something Chanakya said. And what is Anvikshiki? It's a deep subject by itself. And I've been studying Anvikshiki a lot and trying to understand what is Anvikshiki. Like many of you are listening, for me also first time it was, a new word to me. But the more I did research on it, more I understood it. I said, wow, what a fantastic word. Not many people are aware of Anvikshiki, but it is a very, very common word in the Indian literature. In fact, in Malayalam language, many of us use it also. Anyashikyuga. That means go and inquire. So inquiry is something that is very, very important to solve any particular tough situation. And what is the process? The process is 3 steps. It says Anvikshiki is a combination of Sankhya, Yoga, and Lokayata. They are the 3 great philosophies among many great philosophies of India. So when you are having an inquiring mind, Anvekshan, what are the steps to be followed? So Anvikshiki is equal to Sankhya plus Yoga plus Lokayata. So what is Sankhya? Of course, it comes as Sankhya Yoga in Bhagavad Gita. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Sankhya. Sankhya means numbers. So you have to have the data in hand to think. Look at the corona situation right now. The whole thing is about data. So you're saying so many people got affected in Maharashtra, in India, globally, and then strategy can be only made when you know the data correctly. Look at the biggest companies of the world, be it the Microsoft, or the Googles, or the Amazons. What are they doing? Actually, they're only doing nothing but data crunching. And today, data is bigger than oil, as Reliance says. So from oil, they are moved on to data. And look at the kind of money they are making now on the digital platform. Yes. So what is important is that while investigating, you should have numbers in hand. See, whenever a negative situation comes in, a tough situation comes in, it's natural for us to react and lose our emotional balance. But logic says, wait, कितने लोग को problem हुआ है? Okay. So first of all, India has got 130 crore people. Data. And so how many people have got affected? Maybe 1.5 lakh people. Okay. Then it's okay. 1.5 lakh people by itself is very bad, and the number should not increase. But you look at it saying, okay. The good news is that we still have people who are not yet affected by data. Then you come down and say, which are the major states where these are there? Then you say, okay, Maharashtra is there, and Gujarat is there, and Kerala is there. Let's say 3 major states. Okay, data again. Then you come down and say, okay, which are the areas in these states which are getting affected? Okay, it is a city like Mumbai or Pune or Ahmedabad. So, okay, so that means logic says that's all a crowded place. Come back to data again. Again, you refer back and saying, okay, go down to the zones, green zone, red zones. Okay. So you see how you start looking at the problem, not from a macro angle or just from an impulsive angle, but you get into the micro details. Numbers are very interesting. It can throw out a lot of insights. Therefore, Chanakya is suggesting data is very important. Then you go further. In fact, there is a management process called as root cause analysis. So get into the detail. How do you get into the detail? Numbers, numbers, numbers. If you don't understand numbers, you'll never be able to sort out problems. And then you say, okay, even if there are 1.5 lakh people, okay, how many people actually recovered? How many people actually died? Then you're going to say, okay, so at the end of it, the recovery rate is almost like 95%. And like 95, it was 97%. So, okay, out of the all 1.5 lakh people, 3% has actually lost their lives. Okay, not a good number when you look at it independently. But you can take decisions, and then you say, okay, let us make sure that other people are not affected. So you put in social distancing and various other various systems in place. So friends, now you look at it saying, oh, you're using your mind and your intellect much better. So whenever a tough time comes, relax. Okay, relax. And that's where the second part comes in, that is yoga. So when you have numbers, don't get carried away. Oh my goodness, 1.5 lakh people. Oh, it's next to me. It's next to my house. Oh, my neighbor got it. Wait, relax. So therefore, the next thing is that even if numbers are bad, relax. Therefore, it's a yoga. Yoga means actually keeping an equanimity. Of course, in the popular level, we only know about yogasanas. But Patanjali Yoga Sutra has got 8 steps of yoga, and that is right from the physical body to achieve nirvana, moksha, as they say, the siddhi tak. So generally, when we understand yoga, it's more at the physical level, the asanas and the pranayam. Of course, that's a very important starting point. But yoga becomes subtle and subtle. And it is said that the best yogi is the one who is able to keep his equanimity in every situation. And the Bhagavad Gita also says so beautifully, yoga karmasu kaushalam. So what does it mean? If you are having a yogic mind, of course it's a meditative mind, but it's also a very focused mind. So how do you keep yourself focused with a calm, quiet? In fact, Dr. Rajesh, who is there with me right now, will also understand that researchers also require to have an equanimous mind. So researching is actually getting the details. But researchers should never get colored. It's very, very important, and therefore, when I guide my PhD students in the University of Mumbai, I tell them, it is not about right or wrong. It's about having the mind and its ability to observe everything. So the equanimity is very important whenever there is a tough situation. So Yudhishthira, think about it, why he was decided as a leader. Not that he made some bad decisions in his life. Of course, there were also a lot of bad decisions. He also had his own weaknesses. But among the Pandavas, apart from being the most eldest brother, he also had something called as equanimity with him. Okay, so you look at that is what the name Yuddha and Sthiraha. Sthira means the ability to maintain equanimity. Yudhishthiraha becomes the leader. So my dear friends, if you want to be a leader, understand the value of being equanimous. Yoga, Sankhya, Yoga, and Lokayata. At the end of it, you should be worldly wise. I spoke about that in detail, saying that you may have a lot of great ideas, but finally it has to be implementable. So when you come back with all the solutions that you have, it should be able to be rolled out as a plan. So think about it. Whenever there's a challenge, Anvikshiki, the first step is to think through How do you think? Sankhya. Look at the Sankhya's, numbers. And if you are running a business also or anything, numbers is very important. Yoga, calm and quiet mind. And the third one is Lokayata. Your plan should be implementable. Remember one thing, vision is not a plan. Please understand this. Goals are not plans. Goals and vision converted into actionable step helps you to achieve your dreams, goals, and vision. So a lot of people have ideas, and I said, okay, listen, it's good to have an idea, but show me a plan. It is plans that becomes bigger into reality. Okay. So whenever you are into any tough situation, the first step is to think through it. Unfortunately, instead of thinking, what we do is worrying. चिंता करने के जगह में सॉरी चिंता करते हैं चिंतन नहीं करते हैं so चिंतन करो चिंता मत करो don't start worrying about a situation, start thinking strategically about a situation. That is called anvikshiki, the first step. Think through all the situations. The second, which I call as even in the Arthashastra, a very important step. It's called mitra samvadaha. Okay, the first is anvikshiki, the second is mitra samvadaha. Very easy to understand. Mitra, as you know, even in Sanskrit or most of the Indian languages, we use as friend. In fact, I recently read a newspaper article in the morning. I think many of you may know it. That there is a app which is getting the highest downloads. It's called Metro. So this is instead of TikTok. You know, TikTok is losing its trust as far as the data security is concerned. So some young boys in the Bangalore actually created an app which is having the same features as TikTok, and it's called Metro. And then they said, "Oh no, no, don't think that we are trying to copy Modi ji. Always is Mitro. Actually, that is something which relates to friends. So then we wouldn't have been so successful in India if we had made that app as friends, because friends is very generic, you know. But when we say Mitra or Mitro, then it catches an attention and it's got huge downloads. So try that app. I'm also going to try it today. So what does Chanakya says? Mitra Samvadaha. So whenever you are having any particular tough time or problem, first you try to solve it alone. But you know, not everybody can solve all the problems alone. We are all not Chanakyas. But then take some advice of friends. Yes, that's a Mitra Samvadaha, means discussion with friends. Chanakya says, never fight a battle alone. Take some friends along. Never fight a battle alone. Take some friends along. So, my dear friends, if you can't take friends along in the in the coronavirus lockdown time, at least you can talk to them. One brain can only probably give one or two solutions, but multiple brains together can give multiple solutions. This is working with others. 1 plus 1 is greater than 2. The concept of synergy. And today is a world of collaboration. You know, unfortunately, our education system, so sad. You know, I am also part of the same education system. It is not an education system, it's actually an examination system. When do we move from an examination system to a research system? And that's where India has to take up the next level of the giant leap in research culture. I'm so glad that we have this great institution where we are actually focusing on research. And with Aruna ma'am, Vedehi ma'am, and Dr. Rajesh are over here, we are actually looking at the next level of where India would take, and that's research. Research is about collaboration, and you have to collaborate with your friends. Yes, collaborate with others. In fact, if you look at the Indian way of fighting battles also, you never fought a battle alone. You took some friends along. Mahabharata war is not between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. It was between two group of armies. The Pandava had some friends to support them. Kauravas had some friends, and they fought together. And you see that in the modern day war systems also. You have some allies with you. The World War I and II also was a group of allies. That's how it is, You may not have all the resources, but that doesn't mean even if you're a small king or a kingdom, you cannot win the battle. Of course, you can create a lot of clout by associating with somebody who's bigger than you. Yes, my dear friends. In fact, I always say this. In fact, there's a children's book I have written called as Chatur Chanakya. So there is a young boy who gets bullied. His name is Arjun, and he applies Anvikshiki in his mind. So what it does is that he's very thin boy, and a bully called Himalaya is actually attacking him, bullying him. So he says, okay, I may be thin, he may be fat. So the best solution is to make somebody ally who is fatter than the Himalaya. So think about it, that I don't have to become big to fight a bigger enemy. I can collaborate with somebody who is bigger than the enemy. That is also strategy. I don't have to be big to fight a bigger enemy. I can collaborate with somebody who is bigger than the enemy. So this is strategy. So this is what happens, my dear friends, that when you have mitra samvada, when you discuss with your friends, your problem looks very small because he or she will give you some ideas and some solutions. I always say, whenever you are depressed, just pick up the phone and talk to a friend. And believe me, today, if you look at it, one of the major problems that we are facing is, a lot of people in lockdown are all alone. They don't know what to talk to, whom to talk to. Then listen, बहुत सारे friends है ना, WhatsApp friends से लेके थोड़ा discussion तो करो. And believe me, it works. I'm telling you about practical solutions. When the Corona lockdown started, I remember all the businessmen were worried what to do, what not to do. But all the business leaders got together and said, let's talk to each other and say, don't worry, don't worry. In fact, I also realized that in the Kutchi community, some of you may know this as a very small community from Gujarat, but a very enterprising community. They're very, very business focused kind of a community. So these guys actually got together. And I remember in Bombay, these four guys who are like the stalwarts, they got together, four of them, and they discussed mitra samvada. Then what should we do? Because they are all trading community generally. They have small shops. They are vyaparis. They are businessmen. But suddenly the economic thing. What they did, and this is something very practical. So these four stalwarts, almost like the community leaders, these four businessmen got together and they actually got everybody on a Zoom call. Thousands of them, in Bombay, and they said, "Don't worry, we are with you. If there is a financial problem, let us know." So, all these shopkeepers, they said, wow, why am I fighting a battle alone? Here is our stalwarts from our community who are saying that don't worry. And it actually energized the whole group. And they said, ठीक है, पैसा का problem है, घर में कितना चाहिए? How much do you want in your house? Maybe 5,000, 7,000? That's what the basic ration requires. खाने पीने लगे चाहिए. If you have a problem, please call us up. And one of these shopkeeper was telling me yesterday when that Zoom call happened, we just got energized. Not that we require money. Please understand this. Not that we require money. We have our savings. But when the leaders come together and tell us, hey, don't worry, we are with you. And we're having the confidence that if you want to communicate, there is somebody who's bigger than us. And we also know that these four stalwarts of our community can also make a phone call to Delhi if required, if there is something going wrong. So think about it. It is not that I'm fighting a battle alone, but actually I see a strength when people come together. And they told me that this greatest strength that we require is from somebody who tells us that main hu na, I'm with you, don't worry. So that is the role of a mitra. Mitra may or may not solve your problem directly. But remember one thing, the feeling that you have somebody with you, and when he says, koi baat nahi, hum tumhare saath hai, main hu na, jab bhi zarurat hai, call kar lena. Believe me, that's the way you solve the toughest situation. If you have allies, you have partners, if you have people who understand you and ready to support you, that's what Chanakya says. Mitra are very important. So second point was mitra sanyoga. Now I come to the third and a very, very important part, that is consult with experienced and experts, experienced people and experts. And it is called as vriddha sanyoga. Vriddha means experienced people. Those who are elder than you, who have seen life bigger than you. They're also experts of a particular field. Okay, so when you're stuck, you don't know what to do, call the expert of that particular field, of that particular problem. For example, you have a health problem, okay? You can take everybody's suggestion, including Dadi Ma ka nuska. But the reality is that sometimes the health problem, you require a health expert, maybe a doctor, to actually consult you. So when the problem is very severe, you need to know who is expert. And please look at it this way. Chanakya says for every subject, there is an expert. Okay, a simple thing like, your broadband not working. So you think it's a small problem? No, it's not a small problem, because if the broadband is not working, we cannot have this live show also. But I know one thing, that, the broadband guy is the one who will solve the problem. So I have to give him respect. So he will maybe, for me, maybe a small supplier, a vendor, for whom I may be giving a few hundreds or thousand rupees a month, but respect that guy, because that guy can actually solve your biggest problem. In fact, Chanakya says, the biggest battles in life are actually won by the small soldiers. So you may have a strategy with execution guys. So it is very, very important as a culture to have dignity of labor in this particular country. But the labor may be hierarchically very small. He may be in the lowest part of your strata. But the reality is that they also have experience. They can tell you what to do and what not to do. I remember this great example of Abdul Kalam sir. When he was the president of India, he was also heading so many great institutions. So he said, when I actually was part of, I think, DRDO, or I think they were doing some project with HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So he said I was new to the project. So I think they were looking at some helicopter being, prepared and all those things, indigenous. So he was a great scientist and a great project manager. So he was looking at it. But when he got stuck with a problem, he would just go to the work shop floor and ask the workmen. And he's, some of the best breakthrough ideas I actually got from some elderly person who may not be a scientist, but he may be in the shop floor of HAL. But he will give an out-of-the-box solution. And wow, it happens with senior management people, with leaders, because they're so much stuck up in the big picture that some of the best solutions can come from the smallest guys. So today, when you say Vriddha, yes, they're elders, but you understand the second word, it's also experts. And interestingly, today we have a concept called as reverse mentoring. What do you mean by reverse mentoring? That sometimes the youngest guy can teach you the biggest lesson. In fact, today, especially in the world of technology, the younger generation can teach the elders how to use technology. It is said that when we were small, if an electronic item, a technologically advanced item, maybe television, and that was our technology, or a radio or a Walkman used to come, the parents would never allow the children to touch it. Haath mat lagana. But today, when a gadget comes into a house, the same father says to beta, kaise chalana hai batao. So think about it. So Vriddha is also not just about experience, but also experts. And today, children are more experts than we are in the field of technology. In fact, I have a lot of mentors, and they're much younger than me, 24, 25, 26. And I call them sir, sir, sir. Then they say, no, 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 sir, you are so elder to us. I may be elder to you, so I will teach you. But the reality is others also. You are experienced and elder to me in your field. So if I want to become a social media expert, I don't have to learn social media. I will tie up with you. I'll collaborate with you, and you be my teacher in social media. And that's what happened. I'll give you a real life example. Before the coronavirus, actually, the coronavirus problem and the lockdown started, I remember I used to be in social media very active. But I realized one thing: I can't sit down and now, do nothing inside. So then let me focus on my social media and use these webinars and platforms to take Chanakya knowledge ahead. And I just called up, I have some great people who guide me. They're very young. So I have Manish Pandey, who's a social media expert. One of the very big YouTubers. His name is Ranveer Alabadia. Some of you may know him. Then I had Viraj, that's his partner. So all these guys, I just called up. I'm saying that, I want to use the social media. Please tell me the strategy. They told me some strategies and tips. And believe me, before 2 months, a Twitter following was around 4,000. In 2019, it was just 1,000. I don't know how it became 4,000. But in the last 2 months, it has become 20,000. And please understand, without investing a single paisa. So it is not, I'm pumping money for marketing. So this expert gave me an idea saying that do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just go and check my social media, especially my Twitter and the Instagram and LinkedIn. If you are active, you'll be surprised. So in the tough times when you're not able to crack the problem, just take the technical guy, the expert, and say, "Kya karna hai?" And it could be in any field. Okay, I just give you my example of the current situation. So friends, whenever there is a problem, surround yourself with experts. So one is friends, but experts can also give you a breakthrough idea. In fact, the experts are meant to be consulted before you actually look out for a solution. Okay. So friends, if you just quickly recap these three points and apply it anywhere. So first is that whenever a tough time comes, don't react. Take your time. Okay. Don't react, respond. So keep your manaha under control. It's called Indriya Jayaha. Yes, Indriya Jaya, that means keeping control of yourself. The first thing that you do is keep control of yourself. So first is Anvikshiki. Think through the whole problem. Sankhya Yoga Lokayata. I give you the formula. Anvikshiki is equal to Sankhya plus Yoga plus Lokayata. Numbers with a calm mind and with, of course, practical. The second is Mitra Samvadaha. I don't have to speak much because you already are in touch with friends, but discuss with them. Never fight a battle alone, take some friends along. The third and the most important step is Vriddha Sanyogaha. Ask the experts. And there is no problem in the world which can't be solved by using these three Chanakya techniques. I hope you'll use these during this particular challenge and forever in life. And believe me, it's a Chanakya guarantee. This works in tough times and good times. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. That was really, really wonderful. Thank you for this wonderful session. Now, I'd like to move on to the question and answer session. We do have a few questions, quite a few, which I have written down here. But let's start with the first question. We have it from Amrit Raj. who says that I am a class 12 student. I have been practicing meditation since the last 2 months, but I'm still not able to cure my consistency. I think what he means is, to hold on to the consistent work that he does. Could you please throw some light on this, sir?
Okay, so the way I look at it, the meditation is something that you perfect it over a period of time. Okay, I always tell you, my father, he's 82 years old currently. I have seen him as a child, almost 45 years meditating, and today he can sit down for 5 hours every day and meditate 5 hours without break. But that doesn't happen overnight. Okay, so I've been meditating for the last 40 years in my own life, but I realized one thing: don't try to be an expert day one. You have to first learn walking. First, maybe
Standing.
crawling.
First standing, then
Yeah.
walking.
Yeah, maybe crawling, standing, walking, then running, and then of course cycling, and then car, and then even airplane. So meditation is the highest level of experience that you can get. But don't expect that I can fly the aircraft when I'm a baby. So, but at the same time, aim to fly the aircraft, but start with baby steps. So if you're expecting that meditation can transform you overnight, let's start one step at a time. So I think the first step about meditation is that please sit down quietly for 20 minutes. Okay, if you can do that practice for at least 1 month consistently, speak quietly without even using your mobile. The mind will not like it. It's like taming a wild horse. So afterwards the next level is one step at a time. So if you can sit down quietly for 20 minutes without looking at your mobile, that itself is a great success. So first time mein pass ho gaya. Next is to actually calm down your thoughts. Then you get into pranayam and all those things, and then the highest level is to get efficiency, where you finally go into the next level of siddhi and all those things. So what I'm saying, there are steps of meditation. So my suggestion to you is that start and saying that if you are able to sit down calmly, quietly for 20 minutes, that's a great start. Great start. Don't expect that overnight your mind will be calm and you will be focused. It will, but over a period of a time. शुरुआत तो कीजिए 20 मिनट
Yeah.
से per day.
Okay. So then we have another question from an anonymous participant who says, sometimes different advisors in difficult situations can be confusing. How do we handle that? Because you have different
Excellent question.
people. Yeah.
And this question has been actually answered by Chanakya. He says, first of all, okay, there are difference between experts and opinion makers. So please understand the difference between the two. Opinion makers can give any opinion. Like, we are all opinion makers sitting down in a house and saying that how the politician should run the kingdom or the country. But we are not politicians, we are not experts. So we are, say, bedroom analysis, sitting down in the house. So people can give you anything that they believe. But remember, that's an opinion. And Chanakya says, listen to everybody's opinion. There's nothing wrong. But advice has to be taken only from experts. So first of all, the first clarity you should have is that opinion, sabka suno. Okay. Even a child or a grandmother who is not from the field, you never know, you can get a breakthrough idea. But your actual advice should be taken from experts. And what is the meaning of an expert? Who have worked in that particular field. So if you have a history question, don't go to a geography teacher, go to a history teacher. So you should have that clarity first of all. Okay. Then what you should do is that Chanakya says, don't ask too many experts. It will confuse you. Okay. You should actually only talk to three experts, not one, not two, too many. Okay. Why three? Okay. Because if you have that one expert, like your guru, pura shraddha hai to no problem. But sometimes you require, another dimension. So first of all, choose the right experts and ask three experts and take the mean average. If you talk to too many things, as you said, you'll get confused. If you have only one, maybe he will not be able to give the direct solution. So talk to three experts. Suno sabka, three experts say salalo, but karo apna. So finally, you have to take the decision. So please understand, advice is not a decision. Advice can make your decision better. So three equal to one, and then your decision has to be there. That's the formula.
Okay. And then we have Ajit Kumar Shitole sir, who's complimented and said it's a nice session, an excellent session, dear sir. Irrespective of lots of planning and preparation, if something goes wrong during actual execution of an activity, how should one tackle such a situation?
Okay. So Swami Chinmayananji, my spiritual guru, used to tell very nicely, do your best and leave the rest. So if after all the planning and execution, something is not working fine, don't give up. You have done your best, right? Congratulations. A lot of people get into war without planning. The good news is that you actually planned everything in the right phase and everything. In spite of that, if something happens, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. Okay, because you have planned 10 things, but maybe that one thing which was not under your control, you could not plan or maybe factor in. It's okay. You improve it next time. But don't give up. Because now first part is that you know what is planning and execution. But in one thing, and let me tell you, leave it to little bit of a factor of law of karma also. Because in spite of all the best, if you're not succeeding, Krishna says, don't worry, आपने अपना कर्म किया है ना, फल आएगा जरूर. फल की कामना मत करना doesn't mean you should not expect the results. But the problem is we expect the results according to our plan. But God is better. He knows that you have worked hard. It's like a bank account, that's a maturity phase. The moment it gets matured, you will be given 10 times more than what you saw. So if something is going wrong, take it in the right stride and say, okay, but I will improve on it next time. Do your best and leave the rest. And have faith in God. He will give you the best.
Okay. Okay, so we have Naman Arora who says, I am a class 10 student. I try to study, but I'm not able to be consistent in my studies. Is there any way you could help?
There's so many ways I can help. Number one, this is not your problem, it's everybody's problem.
You are not alone. You have lots of friends. Take them along.
Absolutely. So if you think you are going to sit down and get concentration and get, sorry, let me tell you, whether we look at these problems, we think ये मेरा problem है. That's why we call in market research. One sample is equivalent to the whole. So when you are अपन चावल पकाते हैं ना, so if you've seen the traditional method, when you boil the rice, you don't look at the whole rice. You just pick up one and say, "Acha, it's soft. That means everything is soft." So please understand, if you're not having concentration, you think the teachers have. So,
so you and I are teachers.
So I'll tell you how to focus on. So please understand it. Take one step at a time. So one thing is the ability to sit down to study. Okay, I'm not telling concentration in studies. So first thing is, if you can have a place where you can have less distractions, okay, and you're able to focus for 5 minutes, that's a great start. So first of all, externally move out, maybe a noise, and maybe the great example that we have of distraction is our mobile and technology. So when you're sitting to study, keep it away temporarily. I'm not saying no, don't go there. But that 5-10 minutes when you sit down and you're able to focus for 5 minutes, okay, then you said, wow. Next is increase that little by little, okay. And always say when you're sitting to study, there are 10 chapters, okay. Start with a chapter which is the easiest. It may not be the first chapter. It could be the 9th chapter. Okay. So start that. Then your mind gets interested. And when you start developing love for the subject, then when you start studying over a period of a time, then you start understanding the whole thing. So what is very important is that when you start developing that 5-minute concentration to become 10 minutes to 15 minutes, then slowly you get concentrated for half an hour. And then slowly with your own practice, believe me, 2-3 hours of focus concentration becomes a part of the game. You can actually do it. So don't worry, it's my problem, it's your problem, but I can write a book now in 1 month. Yeah, that's true. In the lockdown, I actually wrote 2 books. How much? So much concentration is required? Of course, no. Before concentration, love is required in that particular field. So if you develop love, then your concentration will come as a byproduct. Thank you so much.
Okay, so next again, Amrit Raj has I think the second part of his question. So how do I implement the benefits of meditation into my career?
Oh, first of all, meditation is useful also in career, but meditation cannot help you only in career. Okay, and therefore there is this whole thing. It's like you have gold. Okay, gold is the highest valuable metal that we have, but you are using it to probably make a, what do you say, a screwdriver out of it and fit something else. So the value of the gold is the highest. So meditation, as I told you, the highest thing. But of course, you can make a screwdriver out of it and maybe benefit in your career also. So what I'm saying, for a career to be successful, okay, please understand, you should have the understanding of productivity. Okay, so if you get a job, I mean, you can get it because of your academic credentials, because of your marks and all that. Your first job, remember one thing, you're always a fresher. But your second and the third job is based on your performance. So all the college people can actually give you the first job and placement. Congratulations. उसके बाद आपका responsibility थोड़ी है.
Yes.
So you understand, your real tool is performance, and meditation can actually help you performance in any stage of life, including family life, professional life, career, anything, research for that matter. So meditation can help you with a focused mind. And as I told you previously also, yoga karma su kaushalam. If you understand focus, concentration through meditation, you actually become a perfect yogi even in your professional life. So when you're working, it's the best. I would suggest you to read a fantastic book. It's called Karma Yogi by E. Sridharan. E. Sridharan is known as the Metro Man of India. He created the Konkan Railway. And he follows this principle of Bhagavad Gita of Karma Yoga. He is a meditator every single day, but he created a revolution. and is among the top 3 people in the world who is defining the policies for global transportation. He's not just an Indian, and he believes in karma yoga and meditation. So yes, in career or professional, it will be helpful. But the reality is that your mind has to get focused and productive. That's the game. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Sandeep Patil has a question. How Vijigushi,
Vijikishu. Vijikishu.
Vijigushi, yeah, helps to overcome current COVID situation?
So I think Vijikishu means a person who wants to be a world conqueror. The good news is that India is already a world leader.
Mm.
you know and there's a lot of hope towards India. We're not realizing it. See, our problem is that the mindset has not shifted from a follower to a leader. So ever since independence, we've been trained that somebody else will give you a job, somebody else will decide your life, somebody else will decide your future. So somewhere this mindset is somebody else take a decision, but the reality is that the world is waiting for an Indian decision. Yeah, we are leaders. So think about the Microsoft, the Googles, the IBMs. We are leaders. We are the most respected leaders without threat. So we are not, so there is a lot of trust in India that if you give them a company to run, they will run it very efficiently. So coming back to the COVID situation, there can be actually many solutions that can come from India. So if you look at the current chairman of the, I think the execution team of WHO has been our own leader, Dr. Harshvardhan has been given that position, and it's not a small position. So that means the WHO is looking at an Indian to lead this problem out. So now that's at the health level. So the second is at the business level. I think we've got a golden opportunity to convert the whole global opportunity towards India. So there is. I don't want China to lose on the part, but I'm saying India can also have an advantage. So there's a lot of trust deficiency happening over there. But the reality is that if you look at the manufacturing sector and if you compare China, let me tell you, my dear friends, China has got a great productivity culture. I've been to China and I know the work culture in China. Forget the political side of it. The kind of an efficiency that they bring in the productivity. Let's actually respect them. So for us to become a global leader in the business space, we need to increase our productivity measurements. We are so lazy. We don't value time. And कितना बात करते हैं राम 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 काम कितना करते हैं और बात कितना करते हैं. So I think the opportunity is always there. The leadership is always there. But the thing is that we, don't know how to utilize the opportunity. So I would say that, as Peter Drucker, the management guru, put it very nicely, the future that has happened. So don't think that the future will happen for India. It's already happened.
Happened.
But the opportunity, as Swami Chinmayanand used to say, when the opportunities arrive, either we are sleeping inside or we are gone out. So
or we are
sure,
busy on the phone.
absolutely. So make sure you take this opportunity at the individual level, at the national level. You will solve the world problem of Corona also, and you'll actually become a Vijigishu.
Okay. We have a question from Aruna ma'am.
Yeah.
Why do I always end up being the devil's advocate?
Now I'll need to speak to Arunaji separately because devil's advocate, according to me, is good. In fact, in our country, we have always respected the other viewpoint. Anvikshiki is actually looking at the other viewpoint. So when you look at the word devil's advocate, you look at it very negatively. So somebody is a devil and he's trying to win the case. He's an advocate. No, it's not true. It is like looking at the out of the box solution. Okay, and a devil's advocate's role is not only to think out of the box, but also to question: is there a box? Sometimes
Okay.
most of the problem is created in the mind. So devil's advocate means you're saying that it's actually problem hai kya? So in fact, I'm on the board of so many companies. I know one of my major roles when I'm actually guiding chairmen. So fortunately, I have the Raja Vidya with me, and I guide Rajas. So Chanakya's Rajaguru statement. So when I'm into the board meeting, I play the devil's advocate role and saying that, okay, what is the problem? And do you think it's the real problem? And then we question, we debate it, we logically, we get into the numbers, and then we're like, the problem actually doesn't exist. It's like, sometimes the media exaggerates the problem which is not there. Okay,
Okay.
so you have to
Okay.
understand this: the devil's advocate actually is a good thing. So if you are a devil's advocate, I'm your best friend. Mitra Sanyoga. Thank you, Rama.
Okay. The next question is, how do we choose our friend? I guess that's a very nice question. How do we choose a friend?
Excellent question. In
Wonderful
fact,
question. Yeah.
very good question. In fact, it is said that friends can make you or break you completely.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is said that you are an average of the 5 people whom you surround yourself with. So your
Mhm.
thoughts are about the 5 people you surround yourself with. So your 5 best friends, okay, have to be very carefully chosen. In our Shastras, the friends have been defined in 2 categories. One is called Satsanga, and the second is called Kusanga. Satsanga means good company. The
Mhm.
company which is noble, which will actually be the devil's advocate also.
Mm.
So what is very important is that the satsanga is choosing those best friends carefully. So to be very clear, because if those five friends are wrong, then they will teach you the wrong methods, and that becomes a part of your life. In fact, I remember one of the very famous film stars who was, smoking, drinking, and all those things. He said, somebody asked him, why don't you stop drinking? Well, now it's a habit. But how did you start? Well, thanks to my college friends. So it
Correct.
all starts with that one smoke and that one drink, okay? But imagine your first five friends are not of that particular category. Who's saying, no, okay, it is the first, but it is not the last. So you
Right.
should have those friends who are actually friendly with you, who are actually going to keep you on the right track. So
Mm.
choose your friends carefully. So you have to look at who the friends are. Let me also give you a warning that when I say choose your five friends carefully, it doesn't mean the others are enemies. Okay. So the
Mhm.
formula that Chanakya gives is be friendly with everybody, but choose your best friends carefully. Okay, so
Okay.
everybody you should be friendly. So किसी से झगड़ा मत करो. Don't have a single enemy. That should be attitude. But whom do you spend the maximum time with? Those friends you have to choose carefully. Look at their behavior, look at their mindset, and friendly रखो. लेकिन best friends को choosefully,
Choose
carefully
care.
choose करके.
Choose care. Okay, so we have another question from Madhuri Reddy, and she refers to the example where you gave about the Olympics, that to have the mindset of, to achieve the best, or to focus on the best. If we are going to consider that and thinking that today I won a silver, but it's not that I won a silver, but I lost a gold.
Hmm.
Is it not, it's not so optimistic to look at it that way. It might actually be a deterrent to one's mindset.
Yeah.
So
So I'll tell you very frankly, this statement is to inspire you.
uh-huh.
Okay. So it is not about gold versus silver, but don't go to the World Cup finals to say that even if I lose it, now I am a World Cup finals runner up.
Correct.
No, come on. As a sportsman, when you go to the final, you cannot say go bronze medal मिला तो भी ठीक है देश का भी नाम कर रही हो. No, please understand this. Again, I come to that point that do your best and leave the rest. So at the end of it, if you get a silver medal, great. But you can't go there to win a silver medal. That's not sportsmanship. So what I'm trying
Correct.
to tell is that when you go into the game, do the best and maybe better than the best.
Okay, so taking a reference of the same example that you gave, that most students, like, when you say, in today's life, when our children are studying, or students are in school, every parent expects their child to be the first in class. They want their son and daughter to be first in the class. Even coming a third or a fourth is not really taken very well. In the sense, they might not tell their children directly, but they'll say, "हाँ ठीक ठाक किया, third ही आया," which I think is the point, the question, that why is it that it has to be first? Why can't he just enjoy the process
Mm.
of studying, or being in school, or learning, or whatever? I think just playing the sport. Why can't I just enjoy it? So, yeah.
My thoughts on this is very simple. I'm an educationalist myself. Okay, so I
Mhm.
know this problem, and I always tell this. Parents require more counseling than students do.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Absolutely.
it actually has become a social problem. Our whole system is about competition and comparison.
Hmm.
And who created it? So why do you blame the students for it? The students are enjoying, and everybody is unique in his own way. Somebody is good in studies, somebody is good in sports, somebody is good in arts, and somebody may be good in research. So the problem is that पांडे जी का बेटा को first आया और मेरी बेटी को second आया. I mean, come
Hmm.
on, yeah. I mean, so I say, somewhere you have to get out of this particular whole thinking. And sorry to tell you that let us not blame the students for it. They are under pressure for this. So I would say, please, the whole parenting generation, if there are any parents listening, please छोड़ दो बच्चों को यार. And don't think, there's a very famous thing that, children will not have your future. With
Correct. Oh, thankfully, they won't have our
your
future.
future, because our past was to create this future where it was you getting a job, getting some security. And the children are already secure. Please let me tell you, you don't have to worry about the finance. They're already born in a rich world. Even if they don't get anything, they will survive and they'll be better than us. See, this is a generation of thinking. It's a generation of opportunities. It's a generation of entrepreneurship and enterprise. And let me tell you, they will not be in India also. Today, the world is flat. The same child may be doing a research in UK or maybe in South Africa. It's okay.
Correct.
So what I'm
Correct.
saying is that the problem is about parenting, parents having a lot of high expectations. What I'm saying is that parents, please don't have expectation. Yes, have expectation on one thing, that your child should have values for life.
Correct.
So very
Absolutely.
important. So आपने number one कमा लिया लेकिन पता चला कि copy करके किया,
Copy, copy.
illegally
Correct.
किया. Will you be happy?
Correct.
So what I'm
Correct.
saying is that let's solve the parenting problem, not a
Correct.
student's problem.
Okay, so there's a statement actually from Sharda Chogule, and she says that in certain situations there is a war between the mind and the brain.
Hmm.
What do we do in such a
Excellent, excellent. So, in fact, in the Sanskrit literature, it has been already talked about. It's called the war that happens inside. The war that happens inside is between the mind and the intellect, mana and buddhi.
Mm,
Okay, and there is a decision-making process to it. In fact, I teach this in the University of Mumbai. In fact, I have an institution which I head as a director. It's called the Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies,
mhm.
where one of the very important quality of a leader is to take decisions. So what is the mind and the brain? We call it the mind and the intellect. So first of all, understand this process. The mind will have multiple thoughts. In fact, mind is a flow of thoughts. Okay. Now intellect has to say, okay, they're all thoughts, data, come down and saying, okay, among all these things, let us narrow it down to three, okay, and take one decision. Okay, so that's a process by itself. So I'll give a very
Okay.
simple example. Now, when you enter into a mall, and especially a shopping mall, and there are so many options, so you say, "Oh my goodness, I had come to buy a biscuit, and there are 32 type of biscuits." So what do you do? So
Mhm.
already you had one desire, now it is multiplied, and you have a limitation. So what you do, there is a process to it. Saying that okay, you look at all the 32, nothing wrong in that, but that's good because your opportunities. But too many opportunities can be confusing. Too many
Mm.
options. तो अमिताभ बच्चन भी चार ऑप्शंस देता है
Okay.
कौन बनेगा करोड़पति. So first thing is that among 30 to have a look at it and narrow it down to three or four. Then
Okay.
it is very easy to pick a one among three.
Mhm.
Okay, the problem is to choose one among 32 is very difficult. But narrow it down to two or three and then take one decision. It's like marriage. सब लड़के मुझसे शादी करना चाहते हैं. Thank you. I'm so nice. I'm in demand. But
Mhm.
the reality is that you can't. Okay, so you narrow it down. What are the things compatibility wise? So narrow down to three and take that one decision. So I think the brain has to finally take a decision. But the idea is that the process is to narrow down to two and take one decision.
One decision. Okay. The next is again a question. I actually have a problem that whenever I see an interesting thing, I go for it and I start with very high enthusiasm. And after some time, I lose my enthusiasm and eventually stop doing that thing. How do I tackle this problem?
Excellent question. So be interested in many things is not bad, okay? And I
Mhm.
think you should have a flavor of everything. It's like
Mhm.
going to an ice cream parlor and he will have 25 varieties of ice cream. Taste everything. But the reality is that these kind of people who start with Josh but lose the hosh in between are called as Arambe Shuraha. आरंभ में बहुत शूरवीर चलो करते हैं and then at the end of it you develop a new interest. So
Okay.
neither here nor there, and then your 25 things you are doing and finally you are achieving nothing.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying, taste the 25, no problem. In fact, that's a good. Life is full about having options.
Options.
So absolutely. So what is wrong in starting? But remember one thing, that has to be planning connected to everything that you do. So
Correct.
when you start doing something, look at the end goal. Okay, what is that you want to achieve? Okay, so
Okay.
start something with a goal in mind. This is called the Sankalp Se Siddhi, as our Prime Minister made it very famous. So take a sankalp that if I start something, I'll complete it. In fact, one of
Okay.
my friends said something very nicely, saying that I don't value a person by what he started. I value a person by what
Person
he
by
completed. And
completed.
believe me, it's possible to do multiple projects and multiple tasking also. But as
Sure.
they say,
Sure.
you need to have the multiple tasking and one thing at a time kind of a mindset. Like I have written 15 books and currently I'm writing 7 books. And I know that every 7 book will be a bestseller. And that's the process to it. So read
Mhm.
some of my Chanakya books. So what is important is start, but start with a plan. Don't be impulsive in starting something. Okay. But
Correct.
whatever you started, complete it. Only then you will be respected.
Correct.
Start, complete, start, complete, start, complete. Life is full of joy. Enjoy.
Okay. Okay. So then the next question is people by default are reactive. How do you move your thought processes from reactive to responsive? Are there any techniques? Could you share some techniques on this?
Absolutely. There are so many techniques. Please start studying the Indian scriptures. Okay. And as I told you, see, there are two things inside our mind. One is called the impulsive mind. जिसको हम कहते हैं the animal in you. Have you ever
Mm-hmm.
seen an animal? It doesn't think. If you look at a dog or a cat, they're very driven by instincts. They will go, they'll do, but they don't have a plan. Okay, that's what differentiates the animal in you to become the man in you. So at least be a human being. And you know what is the difference between an animal and a man? It's got something called the intellect. That is what differentiates us. So we are
Okay.
thinkers. We've been gifted by something which is very, very powerful. We can actually do something which is not natural to us. For example, we can't be underwater, but we can create the submarine and go inside the water. We are not
Correct.
supposed to be flying. But the intellect utilized today, we can actually fly a full aeroplane with 400, 500 people. So what is very important that, being impulsive is the animal in you. But so it is natural. So let me tell you, this is the war that happens inside. ये करना चाहिए, नहीं करना चाहिए. And when you are young, that impulse is very high. But maturity says that, listen, calm down, settle down a little bit. So what is very, very important to know is that from time to time, when you look at a situation, good. I mean, everything comes to you, good. But take that break. And there are so many formulas. So I'll give you one or two formulas here. So whenever you get something, count up till 10. So this is simple formula. When you get angry, also this, count up till 10.
Count to 10.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you are buying that little space where instead of impulsively reacting, you're responding. So your mind calms down, you're processing it. So that 10 counting actually relaxes you and says, wait. So that's where say, okay, Sakshi Bhav. Listen. The second thing is to watch your breath. That's another technique. So how do you know whether you're responding or reacting? So if you're reacting, your breath will go high. So watch your breath. So you know, Josh hai. But look at the breath. But jo hosh mein hai na, his mind will be calm. And the first indication of a calm mind is a composed, quiet breath. So next time when you are getting impulsive, just take 3 deep breaths. Either count up till 10, or and you'll suddenly feel that relaxation. And then what you do is at least that few things that you're doing right to have a calm mind. It is not about impulse, it's about the state of mind.
Okay. We have Anik Datta who's asked a question. Sir, I'm a final year graduate student. Should I decide the further steps of my career now amidst these abnormal situations, or is it better to sit through, wait another year for things to get better or change, and then decide a career path?
See, I'll tell you, this is some of the new generation problems. So first of all, you're in final year. Your priority is to complete the education.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that we say is that, you have to plan for the future, no doubt about it, but you take one step at a time. I would say, enjoy your studies, yeah. You're in the final year student, enjoy that studies. Why are you thinking about a career post-corona, before corona? My dear friend, come on. And, I'll tell you, people somewhere have gotten into the pattern, thanks to our parents' generation also. It is like a pattern. 10th standard ho gaya to 12th standard. 12th standard ho gaya to you have to go and graduate. Graduation ho to you have to work, huh? Or. And after you work, you have to get married. And after married, if you don't have children, are we machines? One thing after another, one thing after another. Don't you have human dignity that, we can be more creative? So what I'm saying is that think about your career, but let me tell you, my dear friends, even if you plan now, it will change. You ask any successful person what he thought in his school days or college days. Do you think it become a reality? If it became a reality, he may be working as a clerk somewhere. That's all. So I'm thinking that, it's a world of opportunities. In fact, I'll tell you something very practical. I'm telling everybody, including the coronavirus problem, I'm with the education ministers and I make some policies. I've been telling them, why are you rushing it to join and start another, academic year in September, October, November? Take a 1 year's break, yeah. It doesn't matter. See, education is not an economic activity. It is an activity where the whole generation is affected. So what I'm saying, already aapka aadha academic year chala gaya. By the time you start December, you are already preparing for the next academic year. We don't understand the concept of taking a sabbatical. In the Western world, they say take a break, go out for a year and maybe just go do some research or do a mountain trekking. Your mind will come back and have fresh ideas. So coming back, this whole pattern about you have to start a career. Okay, you have to start a career, but that's not the point. A career ho jayega. And let me tell you, by the time you complete your final year, the options will be much more bigger and better.
Correct.
So what I'm saying, enjoy your studies, yaar. Career hota rahega.
Okay, Anik. So you don't have to worry. Just relax and look at things as they unfold and enjoy.
One thing
at a time. Okay. So we have another question. Is a little philosophical. How can we make the world a better place when we leave?
Absolutely. I love this question. So you have to first of all understand the world is not bad. So first of all, the whole thing is that dunya corrupt hai, some politicians corrupt hai. And thanks to the media. By the way, I'm also part of media, so I'm not blaming the media. I've been a part of the journalism team, but I realized one thing: it's a mindset. So there are the journalists who have actually bring out the good news also. So the whole idea is that there are a lot of positive things happening. If you look at this generation, almost, I'm not saying 100%, poverty is eradicated. India is almost 100% literate. Roti kapda makan ka problem almost khatam ho gaya hai. Look at the population size that we have. There are so many. Women empowerment is real. I've seen so many women struggling and making it high. So what I'm saying is that if you look at it positively, you have to look at yourself first, that I can be the change. But Mahatma Gandhi said something very nicely. He said, be the change that you want to see in the world outside. So change doesn't happen automatically. You have to first of all choose the field in which you want to make the change. So it could be medical profession, it could be maybe in the field of films also, or politics also, or business also. First of all, choose your field. That's very important. And in that field, create the change. You can't change the world, but at least you can change something. In
Correct.
fact, in the Jewish culture, it is said that if you save one life, you have saved the whole world.
So
So,
true.
so what I'm saying is that that one thing is important. Many people don't get that one thing. I've been fortunate that I found my calling in Chanakya. And saying that, and you should frustrate. Oh my goodness. I remember when I was in some international seminars and when we interact with the professors. So when I speak about Chanakya Neeti, they think, "Arey, Indians have Chanakya Neeti. So I'm sure it will be taught in every school and colleges across India." I said, "Oh my goodness, that's not true." But that became a vision in my life that every
Yeah.
school, college will actually teach Chanakya Neeti. And I put my life into that commitment, saying that it doesn't matter, I got a purpose in my life. And believe me,
Mhm.
it's happening. So what I'm saying is that for me, I don't want to change the medical industry. Sometimes I wonder about it. Or the and said, okay, I've chosen my field. In fact, I've created that field. You don't have to choose somebody else's field. Give it your
Correct.
life to him. And if you're committed, you have to be committed. Huh? You can't keep changing your fields. Choose your
Mhm.
field and give a commitment. And as they say finally, that instead of cursing the darkness, light a candle. Leave the place better than what you found. So that's
Found.
your contribution.
Okay, so we have a lot many questions. So moving on a little quicker, how do you take a decision, brain or mind? Should one listen to the mind or the brain?
Yeah. So again, as I told you, mind is about emotions and brain is about decision. Okay. So the mana and buddhi. Please understand, having emotions is natural. Okay. So if you're unemotional, you are not a human. Human beings have EQ also with us. So
Yeah.
emotional is very important. But if you're a leader, you have to understand the difference between EQ and IQ. Okay, in your language, it could be the mind and the brain. So we should have high emotional quotient with us. So we
Mhm.
should have that, the sensitivity quotient. Many times we are not able to empathize with people's problem. And we say, no, emotional ho rahe hain. नहीं, नहीं, emotions ko samajh rahe hain. But at the end of it, you have to keep your head above your heart. Okay,
Okay.
please understand. Have emotions, but don't become emotional while
Emotional
taking decisions. Yeah.
decisions. Okay, so the next question is, when do you think that India can become a superpower?
Yeah, 2025. And
Okay.
clear, and it's not some vision of mine. I'll tell you the reason also. When I was in my almost maybe around 10-15 years ago, the early stage of the vision that I had for India, Abdul Kalam sir was very active, and he had a vision for India 2020. If you remember the book India
Yes,
20.
yes,
And
yes.
I've been so fortunate to actually work very closely with Abdul Kalam ji in various platforms. In fact, we invited him to a school also. I'm involved with a school where I study, my children study, Vani Vidyalaya in Bombay, in Mulund. Okay, we got him here. So when I actually was thinking about, can somebody have a vision of 2020 India will be a developed country? So let me tell you very frankly, 15 years ago, I had my own doubts. Abdul Kalam is not there, but if you really, it's a reality today. India, you look at all the graphs and statistics, we are a developed nation. There'll be some lacunas, but 2020 has changed around India. Now I'll tell you why 2025. It's not my vision. Swami Vivekananda said this very clearly. Okay. And please understand, he was a visionary, he was a spiritual guru. And he told, that 70 years from now, India will get freedom. And exactly 1947, we got it. And he's told that in 2025, India will be a superpower. And when I say superpower, it's not a military power, okay? R is knowledge power. And so it
Mhm.
will be at such a glorious height. He was a patriot and he was a highly educated graduate of that generation, world traveled. Okay, he used to influence all the biggest guys. He told with a lot of clarity, I can clearly see Mother India sitting on the global throne. And he says 2025 years specific. Okay. And he says that when you look at that glory of India, he's looking at the future vision. The past glory of India, the Sone Ki Chidiya, will be nothing but a spark. So we as
Oh,
a generation, all of us put together, you, me, the teacher fraternity, if you work hard for the next 5 years, okay, that's our opportunity at the world platform. We have done
I
it. But
just
unfortunately, we are waiting for something to happen. No, don't wait for something to happen. Make it happen.
create it.
That's our
Create
generation.
it. Yeah.
5 years and we have done it.
Okay. So I think we should all be blessed to be part of this kind of an era that India is going to see in the next coming years. Okay, so this Risil Chatrala sir has a question. Is there any principle by Chanakya that helps us in keeping high spirits to achieve our goals?
Yes, 100%. This is called about inspiration, utsaha. You have to be inspired. And always there are two type of inspirations. Okay, one is called external and second is internal. So, how to get motivated in difficult times. In fact, that's one of the topics that we have for today. So, the external motivation is like the mobile phone and the charger. So, moment it goes down, you have to charge it again. Isn't it true? So, you can
Correct.
read motivational books, you can talk to someone, maybe you can watch YouTube videos. So, you get and you become very inspired. But the thing is that जो बाहर का charging है ना वो जा सकता है. So you have to keep reading again and again. But Chanakya talks about the quality of a leader as Utsaha Vardaka. That means it is not somebody you inspire. You should be inspiring others.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, you should be self-inspired. And how do you do that? So the first kind of a battery in the mobile is external charging. But if you've seen a car or a scooty, there is a battery that gets charged more by running.
Mm-hmm.
So the energy is created more by activity. So अगर वो नहीं चलता है तो बैटरी खराब हो जाता है, बंद हो जाता है ना.
Correct.
So what is the way of getting yourself self-motivated is, whatever be the situation, काम करते रहो. Activity should never stop, even if the economic activity has stopped. Chanakya says this.
Mm-hmm.
So the economic activity is not there. So all of us are locked in, but at least some activity webinar is going on, isn't it? This is
Yeah.
inspiring. Otherwise, you'll get into depression. No activity is depression. Activity with a strategy is inspiration.
Okay, so I guess that's Mohan sir has actually complimented, saying that it's a very good example between opinion and advice. Joshi sir, Ravindra Joshi sir would like to know if there's any books on Chanakya Neeti.
Yeah. Oh, there are so many books, and this is my book. Already a bestseller. So Radhakrishnan Pillai, Chanakya Neeti. Just go and Google it, type it. And by the way, Flipkart, okay, the very famous e-commerce site, is actually delivering this at home, physical books. Okay,
Yeah.
so we have just got this information. So Chanakya Neeti by Radhakrishnan Pillai.
Okay, so there's another question from an anonymous person, I think a guest who's joined recently.
Yeah.
A very nice session going on, sir. How can we deal with the agitation in our mind?
Again, you have to understand it's a manasthiti,
Mm-hmm.
not the paristhiti. So you have to work internally. The problem is that we try to work a lot of things externally.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you work internally? The agitation is again a state of mind which is in a flux. Okay. So I would advise 2-3 things. One is sit down for meditation. Okay. And then as I told you, it won't get calm down immediately, but 20 minutes per day. Another example is start practicing yoga, physical yoga, asanas, pranayama. See, your body and mind is very required to have this calmness in you. Okay. So if you try yoga, meditation, the food is also very important. See, I'll tell you, a lot of people are very nice, calm, and quiet. But the moment you eat spicy food, because you start getting agitated.
Mm-hmm.
And India loves spices. India loves food, isn't it? So you have to understand, you are not agitated, but the kind of an input that you take physically, maybe, food or thought-wise, some negative thought enters you. Then the agitation is very high. Then it's very difficult. That's why you don't read the newspaper first thing in the morning, but do read it completely to get understanding of what's happening in the world. But imagine you get up in the morning and look at WhatsApp, okay, and that's a negative news. Mar gaya. 200 log mar gaye. Gone. Your whole day is gone. So what I'm saying is that make sure that you are in the positive mindset.
Correct.
It is normal that the mind will get fluctuated, agitated, but it is not whether it's agitated, but what is the process in which you can calm down the mind. So many steps, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, pranayam, yoga, the right food. But important, you have to work on yourself one step at a time, and you'll be able to overcome it.
Okay, so Aruna ma'am has a very important question. This is, I think, to do with your sabbatical suggestion that let's not rush into something and then repent later, because something to do with education is something very serious. It's to deal with the generation. So her question is, what about what about the income during this sabbatical? How does it work?
Yeah. So I think, we have to understand one thing. One is economic activity, and one is activity. Okay. So wherever the business comes in, okay, you have to have economic activity. Please understand that. That's why, one of the things I support also is that you have to be very careful, but you have to keep working now. We can't, because if the government machinery doesn't work. But you have to understand one thing, that education traditionally has not been an economic activity. It has economics to it. There is a difference between the two. Okay, it has economic side to it, but traditionally it was a guru dakshina from the working community that used to go into supporting. Even today, if you look at the kind of a government institution, they are actually run or subsidized by the taxpayers. So can look at a model where the current education system can also be supported by some other people, maybe the government, maybe some of the alumni people. And I'll tell you, the cost is not very high. If you look at the fixed costs, the salaries of the teachers. And today, if you look at your electricity cost, your AC cost is not there, so you're actually cutting down costs. So I think, Aruna ma'am, what we can do, we can actually make a list and look at the statistics, numbers first, Sankhya. And then it's like, okay, if it was just say 10 lakh rupees a month, I'm saying that, okay, 10 lakh rupees, and now the fixed salary is 3 lakh rupees. Just give it. Okay, how do you manage the 3 lakh rupees? So that's where the logic comes in. I'm saying that, maybe industries can fund it for the time being. Unfortunately, today, what is the trend has become that lot of, industry academic partnership is also going through a very serious change.
Correct.
So private people have to run it like a business. The government is looking at it as a social business. So the business part of it, look at your own father, Aruna, ma'am. The kind of an education he created was not for business. He was a great businessman who created an infrastructure of the highest order. In fact, I live opposite Kelkar College in Mulundis. It's a very popular college in Bombay, part of the Mumbai University. So the founder was also a great, business leader like Pralaji. He said something very nice. No charity in business and no business in charity.
Charity.
So we have to go through a philosophical change to understand economics will be part of education. Okay, economics has to be because Chanakya is very practical. He wrote Artha Shastra. Okay, so I think somewhere, and I'll be happy, Aruna ma'am, if off the line also you can take this discussion. In fact, as an education institution, we should fight for that 1 year sabbatical. I've already told the Mumbai University deans and everyone like that. So don't think that I'm just giving a suggestion. I'm an active guy. But somewhere the politicians are so confused. We teachers have to tell them how to come out of the confusion. So let us take this 1 year sabbatical. That doesn't mean we'll not study. We'll do online programs. We'll continue these seminars maybe. But what I'm saying, coming out of this particular physical space is going to affect our next generation. And it's happened in France. France tried this. They got the kids into school and everybody started getting coronavirus. Till now, our generation next is saved because they are moving out, isn't it? The people are going out. So it's a very serious problem as an educational. All the people who are listening to this have a small request in wherever country you have, 1 year sabbatical will be the best time of your life. Because exam to exam, my goodness, when will you stop from an examination system to actually look at an education system? And let me tell you, aren't you all enjoying this talk, which is actually educative? True. And the good part is that you don't have to give an exam. But that's the kind of a joy you should have in education. You should enjoy it. So I think if at all we are able to get the economics right once and for all, and I'm only telling it for 1 year. I'm not telling you, Hamisha. And it can be managed. We are not a poor generation. It's just getting the numbers in place and getting the policies in place. And it's really practically possible. Dekhte, already ek saal nikal gaya. The academic year is gone. It's a matter of handling 3-4 months. Look at the numbers. I'll be happy to contribute offline also.
Okay. Now I have actually so many questions, sir. So we have to run through this. How do we stop overthinking and let go?
Yeah. Okay. Analysis leads to paralysis.
Analysis. Yeah, true.
So the idea is basically if you overthink, it's also not right. So remember one thing, Chanakya is telling you to think. Okay. He's not telling you to overthink. Anything extreme is bad. Okay. So use your brain, use your intellect, but somewhere you have to let go. Because the human mind will also have its own limitations. Okay. The best thing that you should is connect the human mind to the universal mind. So that's where prayer comes in. Yeah. So prayer is not just about, Bhagwan mere ko de dena. It's not about some rituals. It's saying that I'm doing my best. You know it better. So that's why when we take a sankalpa, the puja vidhi in India is very interesting. So when you think of the Panditji will invoke all the deities. In fact, you will invoke your, family members, the Kula Devata and everything. So look at that beautiful thing. I, with a limited intellect, is trying to do this. But you're invoking the known and the unknown deities, your family members, you take the blessings of your parents and say, this is the sankalpa and please take it to Siddhi. Right from Ganeshji to everybody you invoke, isn't it? So you have to understand one thing that in spite of doing the best, actually he knows what is better.
Okay.
So I have been able to do that. Whenever I plan any particular thing, I take the God's grace first. So बोलते हैं कि अरे काम कर रहा हूँ पता नहीं success तो होना है. See, I'm a very ziddhi person in that way. Saying that काम शुरू किया तो nothing but gold medal, okay? And I practiced it. But I think maybe the gold medal will not come in my time because there are so many factors. The law of karma you don't know. So if you have that mindset, you are relaxed. Then you're not worried. My decision went wrong. Arey, your decision is right, but the God's decision is better. And let me also tell you, it's a guarantee that the universe and the God will give you better than what you thought. You thought about an Olympic gold medal. Actually, he may make you the Olympic gold medals authority in charge of the whole committee. So sometimes failure in life actually successful somewhere else. So don't use your intellect too much. Use it right and let go. That's where Shraddha comes in. Surrender that the universe knows better than what I know.
Okay. The next question is how to empathize with people, how to think from their perspective.
It's very easy, okay? And can I know the name of the person?
No, sir. I think this is he's a guest. He or she is a guest, so the name is not
Okay,
reflecting.
for my understanding, is definitely a he.
Okay.
The reason I'm telling you is that if you want to understand what is empathy, you have to understand how women think. Okay,
Okay.
I'm not telling you to sympathize with people. Okay, empathy is a very interesting quality, and women have it in them naturally because they're natural mothers.
Mothers,
Okay,
yeah.
so
True.
what happens
True.
is that if you look at a child, just looking at the face or looking at the voice, they can exactly understand कि वो रोना सच का रोना है कि भूख लगा है या सुसु किया है. So so yeah.
So true. So true.
So the we were talking offline about the woman empowerment part of it.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
me, see, this country traditionally has respected women. Unfortunately, the last few years or few centuries, we don't understood. That's why our rishis gave the symbolic form of our country as Bharat Mata.
Mata.
Unlike American, where Uncle Sam is a symbol. Somebody must have seen that Uncle Sam, very fighting masculine. We never wanted to be masculine. We wanted to understand bhakti, love. So if you want to empathize, you should increase your sensitivity quotient.
Okay.
Okay. So if you don't have that sensitivity, you will never be able to empathize. And I'm like the word empathize versus sympathize. So
Mm-hmm.
what is very important is that you should actually observe people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not just rationally, but look at them, feel something, talk to them, understand them. So what I'm saying, the man in you, so whether you're a male or a female, there's always a part, which is
Yes.
common to us. Yeah.
True.
So what you're saying, a man knows more, but a woman understands better. So
Better.
the intellect is the man, he wants to gather more information, but the woman understand better because the sensitivity quotient is high. So if you can have a
Mm-hmm.
combination of information versus sensitivity, you'll know what is
That's
empathy.
correct. Okay, so the next question is, according to you, as per your views, which sectors will grow in India that will really make India a superpower post-corona? Which
Yeah.
are these sectors?
Yeah. So this is a very economic kind of a question from an economic analyst.
Mhm.
Okay. Now I'll tell you, it is not sector, it's a society. Okay. Our society is actually positioned to actually be successful in every sector.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, please understand this first word of economics. You know what is the meaning? The money required to run a house. Many people don't understand. Economics is not about business. It's
Mm-hmm.
always connected to humanities. And therefore
Right.
it's called socio-economics.
Hmm.
So if you have people, you will have economics. Okay. If you don't have people, there is no economics. Because it's a part of human society. You
Correct.
cannot say, मेरे पास 100 लोग हैं and I will decide a sector. Therefore, India has an advantage. We got 130 crore
Crore
people
people.
and they can have multiple economics. So we have the fortune to actually become super powerful in every sector. Huh? The business
Correct.
analyst will say, this sector is good and that sector is bad. I said, ठीक है यार, that's your way of looking at it. But
Mm-hmm.
imagine you decide to get into tourism sector.
Hmm.
India never capitalized on it. Tourism sector can be a sports sector. Sports management is a big field. Okay. Manufacturing is a big field, service, IT, and within service, there are multiple things. Social media has come out. So the idea is that it is not the sector, is a society able to utilize every opportunity? Okay. And it
Okay.
doesn't matter. In fact, I think we are actually lucky because our land is very big. We are not landlocked like a Singapore. So,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know. They can only focus on certain populations. Land, we are not landlocked. And good part is that so much land, natural resources. That's our
Yeah.
greatest thing. So
Abandoned.
agriculture, we have light, we have everything, we have water. So I think we are in such a beautiful generation where we can actually succeed in every sector. But coming back, there are two things. One at the individual level, what Chanakya calls mera swadharma kya hai? If you are to be in sports, don't try to become a politician. Okay, or if you're a
Mm-hmm.
politician, don't become a businessman. राजा
Correct.
को व्यापार नहीं बनना चाहिए, but व्यापार को समझना चाहिए. So king
Correct.
should not become a businessman, but he should understand how to make good policies. So
Correct.
sector-wise, I think the government has a role to make those policies, and I'm involved. So don't let me tell you. So I know that give an opportunity. But the other thing at the individual level, okay, you should also start working towards a sector. Maybe you can create a sector which never existed. For
Existed.
example, it was not the government policy that created the IT industry. Some guys actually started it, and of course the Rajiv Gandhi era saying that okay, let's inspire them. That's it. Later on, the IT department came in. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
understand that आप शुरुआत कीजिए सेक्टर बन जाएगा या फिर सेक्टर बना है तो आप अपॉर्चुनिटी लीजिए. So it's
लीजिए.
you and the person behind you and inside you that decides which sector is India's future.
Correct. Okay, and the next question is how to detach emotionally from people and not let their words or action affect us so that we can focus on ourselves.
Yeah, you are very selfish. Why should you detach yourself from others' emotions? Yeah, come on. Yeah.
No,
So
I
the
guess
whole,
I
I
guess the
understand.
question was more to how not let us affect, because sometimes we get so affected by what people tell us that we start, we start losing confidence in ourselves. We start losing the focus.
See, the whole idea is that, sometimes people fool you because you are
Yeah,
emotional. I
yeah,
understand. So that is where Chanakya comes in, saying that, if you're fooled once, it is okay. But if you're fooled the second time,
right.
that you are stupid.
You're a fool.
And this question is put in a very nice way. Why are good people used by others? मैं बहुत अच्छा हूँ, अच्छी हूँ, and people use me emotionally. अरे, first of all, I told you, have respect for emotions, but use your logic. Don't allow people to fool you. There is a lot of other confusion also, that humble people are weak people.
Okay.
So that's another thing, that humble है, कोई भी है, सबको हाँ बोलता है. ना ना ना. In fact, humble people are actually leaders. Chanakya says the first quality of a leader among the top 10, one of them
Hmm.
is humility. Look at Abdul Kalam. Okay, he was a great humble man. Again, I'm quoting him, but he was also the missile man of India.
Correct.
While Mahatma Gandhi was a very humble person, never into the positional power, but he actually had the power.
Hmm.
So what I'm saying is that don't allow people to fool you. Then you're a fool. But understand, help them, and all those things. So you have to keep your head above your heart. So there's a process to it. I would suggest you to read my book Chanakya in Daily Life.
Hmm.
That's one of my very popular books. And also Inside Chanakya's Mind, Anvikshiki and the Art of Thinking. These two books are highly recommended, where you can be a nice person, have emotions, but not get carried away emotionally when others try to fool you. Be successful as a leader.
Okay. So there are other questions, but I think we already are overshot our time by more than half an hour. I would actually like to invite Aruna ma'am to say her word of thanks and thank you, sir, for being here. But could I invite Aruna ma'am? Ma'am, could you please? Yes, she's here.
Okay, am I audible, visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, this has been a wonderful morning. Let me think and say that I feel like telling everybody, I told you so, because this is what I was sure we were going to get. And as we were joking before the session started, that we literally have a doctor who has come to us instead of us going to the doctor in these troubled times. A doctor has come to us, and in his very easy to understand, lucid, based on ancient scriptures and knowledge, you have been able to demystify what can practically be done by all of us. So, like you said, it is the wisdom that we were looking for, and we were not looking for how long you will speak or the length and breadth of your. I'm very happy about what I have gained this morning. Um, like you said, this is not a PPT, that is a PowerPoint presentation, but these are powerful points. And the powerful points of the 3 points that you put together, which Chanakya had suggested, if I'm not getting the pronunciation right, Anvakshari, Anvakshari.
Anvikshiki.
Anviksh.
So it's all up in the mind, and the most important thing being that whenever there are tough times, do not react. Breathe. Breathe deeply, count up to 10, and then respond. I think half the battles in the world are solved or left without any big grievances is when we learn to respond and not react, because it is the tongue which once used cannot really undo the damage. I wonder how many of us have realized that responding with a calm mind is, you won it all where leadership is concerned. The other thing which I like very much is what you said, talk about is the second point being the Mitra Sambhadana. Sambhadana. So absolutely right. The example you gave of Kauravas and the Pandavas, and when it started from there, or we had Arjun and Krishna, it was a ally, it was a friend, it was a mentor who actually helps you through your decision making, and knowing where to take the help from or the suggestion from. You can ask a million people, but it is the expert or the experienced person where we should be looking for advice. I think that is a very good suggestion that you have made today, keeping in mind what Chanakya wrote. Vridha Samyogadaha. So the biggest battles are won when you have the smallest or the youngest person in the hierarchy who's out there in the front winning the battle for you. I say this loosely quite often that my father was the chairman of an OLX group. He was like the military general for us, and we were all his soldiers. And he gave us a slogan to do, and all of us have a life made simple and easy for us is to follow what he had taught us. Just like Dr. Abdul Kalam, there have been few people who have always led by the front, and these people have been successful because they have believers in them. And they have believers in them because their leadership, the leadership commands respect and commands trust. So that is the other thing that I learned today. I've also realized in my own experience, learning can be from a younger person to an older person. I know my children teach me technology, even to set up this call today or this webinar today. My daughter has helped me, it's no big secret that I learn from my children. I have another thing which I agree with you completely. I believe nobody is dispensable. So as far as I'm concerned, if I'm not around, the next person on campus or on the team can take a decision, right or wrong, but take a decision. And I go to the extent of saying, Mr. Gaiwal, who is the head of our security and who has been with us for more than 25 years, I go to the extent of saying if nobody is available, even Gaiwal can take a decision because I know he will do it with the right faith and the right requirement of the team. So thank you, Radhakrishnan. This was an excellent morning. And I love your suggestion of let's all take a sabbatical for a year for the students especially, because the competition system that we have set up in our country is really, I don't know if it really gives us great dividends, but it's probably a need because we are tackling such huge numbers. Thank you very much for referring to Dr. APJ. He is my personal he has inspired me a lot. We have Swami Vivekananda, yes. He has inspired generations from there. And I'm grateful that you reminded us all of all these thoughts. I'd like to end with one point that when you said surrender and the universe will conspire to take you where you belong and where you can give your due and contribute. I'm thankful to all our audience. I have a friend here, Amita Munnoz, who has already in this 1 hour sent me a synopsis of what you have said. So I'm going to just forward that to you a little later. Thank you very much, and I look forward to further interactions with you. Thank you again.